All right, welcome everyone. Today, we're diving headfirst into one of the biggest questions imaginable. Where did everything, and I mean everything, come from? We're going to take a look at a really fascinating source that pulls from science, history, and even theology to piece together a story of creation. So, where do you even start with something that big? Well, you start right here. Where did it all begin? This isn't just a question, it's the question. It's the foundation for, science, philosophy, religion, pretty much everything. So let's make this our guiding star for this entire journey. Okay, before we go any further, we need to wrap our heads around the sheer scale of what we're talking about. So here's a number for you, 14 billion. That's 14 times billion years. According to the source material, that's how old our universe is. And how do we even know that? It's based on the light from the farthest thing we've ever seen, this little red dot in space called GNZ11. Just incredible. All right, so let's get into it. Our first stop on this grand tour, modern science. I mean, what does it have to say about that very first moment? So you've probably heard of the Big Bang Theory, right? It's really the bedrock of modern cosmology. The idea is that everything, all of space, all of time, all matter, just exploded from a single, impossibly tiny, dense point. Now, the real clincher for this theory came back in 1964. Two scientists, kind of by accident, found this faint background radiation, this hum all across the universe. It was basically the echo of creation itself, a discovery so huge it landed them a Nobel Prize. But it's not all figured out, not by a long shot. Even our best model, the Big Bang, has some real head-scratchers. One of the biggest is called the horizon problem. Basically, when we look at the universe, it looks like different parts expanded at totally different speeds. And for that to happen, it would mean the speed of light wasn't constant, which, well, that kind of breaks the known laws of physics as we understand them. It's a huge puzzle. So that brings us to a really interesting crossroads, right? If science, our best tool for observing the physical world, hits a wall like this, where do we look next for answers? Well, how about we go way, way back? Let's sift through some of humanity's most ancient stories about creation. Maybe there are some clues hidden in there. And what's really wild is when you start looking at these ancient civilizations. I'm talking Sumerians, Aboriginal Australians, cultures separated by thousands of miles and thousands of years. You start seeing the same ideas pop up again and again. Things like a single creator god, the idea that everything started from water, and this concept that the universe was spoken into existence. It's kind of strange how similar they are, isn't it? Now, here's the thing. While these stories have these cool common threads, a lot of them, well, they run into trouble when you compare them to what we can observe today. You get descriptions that seem to talk about a flat Earth, or a universe that's only about 6,500 years old, or even an eternal, unchanging universe, which we know isn't true because we can literally see galaxies moving away from us. And that's what brings us to the central focus of our source material today, the Qur'an. The argument being made here is that this book makes some pretty unique claims that set it apart, specifically about how it's been preserved and what it contains. And that claim is stated right up front. It is a book in which there is no doubt. That's a bold statement, right? It's basically being presented as a testable claim. The source points out that unlike many ancient texts with different versions, there's only one single unchanged Quran worldwide. So the idea is, this makes its claims about the cosmos worth a closer look. Okay, so check this out. Here's the first major parallel the source draws. On the left, you've got the Big Bang, the universe starting from a single unified state and then expanding. And on the right, a verse from the Quran that says the sky and the earth were once together before they were separated. The similarity is pretty striking. So remember that big scientific puzzle, the horizon problem? The one that suggests maybe time isn't a constant everywhere in the universe? Well, this is where it gets really interesting. The Quran talks about time being relative. In some places it says a day to God is like 1,000 of our years, and in another it says a day is like 50,000 of our years. It's this idea that time itself is flexible. And then there's this, the scientific discovery that the universe is expanding. That's a 20th century thing. It's relatively recent. But the source points to this verse, which says, we have created the sky, and we are the one to expand it. It's presented as a clear description of an expanding universe, written down centuries before we had the technology to observe it. Okay, so we've talked about the beginning, now let's get into the structure. The source material lays out this incredible cosmic map from Islamic tradition, a journey through what are called the seven skies.
So, according to this tradition, the cosmos isn't just empty space, it's this incredible layered structure. The first sky, which is like the boundary of our immediate world, is described as being made of water. Then you go up. The second sky is made of white pearls, the third of iron, the fourth brass, all the way up through silver and gold. And each of these levels is said to be the home of a specific prophet.
And then you reach the final frontier, the seventh sky. This one isn't made of a physical material, but of a light that's supposedly indescribable. This is the ultimate boundary of all creation. And beyond that, well, that's where you find the throne of God, and something called the preserved tablet, which is said to be where all of destiny is already written down.
It's almost impossible to imagine the scale of this, right? So there's this powerful analogy that's used to explain it. Imagine you're standing in a massive, endless desert, and you take a tiny little ring and you toss it onto the sand. In this analogy, that tiny ring, that's all seven skies, the entire created universe. And the desert, that's the throne. It just gives you a sense of the sheer mind-bending scale we're talking about.
So this all brings us back to our big question. Where did it all begin? According to this source, the answer isn't a random accident or some cosmic collision. It's a command. The Arabic phrase is kun fayakun, which translates to be and it is. The idea that the entire universe sprang into existence simply because God willed it and spoke the word. And that's where we'll leave our journey for today. We've looked at science, we've sifted through ancient history, we've explored this deep theological map of the cosmos, and it all leaves us with one final, powerful thought to consider. What if the most powerful force in the entire universe, the thing that started it all, wasn't a bang, but a word?